If you walk into an imaging room at a large medical center like Mayo Clinic, you see a rolling ultrasound cart with a flat monitor, a probe hanging from a thick cable, and a clinician squeezing clear gel onto a patient's chest before pressing the probe against the skin. The monitor shows a moving grayscale image that shifts with every small hand movement. Now just picture that entire setup shrinking into a device small enough to sit on a bathroom counter next to a toothbrush. Home medical imaging devices are handheld scanners and tablet-based systems that let someone in a bedroom or living room see internal structures on a screen without driving to a hospital building. The reason this shift matters becomes obvious when you look at what happens in a waiting room. A patient sits under bright fluorescent lights, watches a digital clock on the wall, fills out paperwork on a clipboard, then lies on an exam table while a technician wheels in equipment with cables and a monitor. For someone who lives 30 miles from the nearest imaging center, that appointment means a long drive, time off work, and hours spent in a clinic hallway. When imaging tools move into a kitchen or home office, the scan happens where the person already lives. A handheld probe resting beside a laptop and a tablet propped against a coffee mug. Most home systems rely on ultrasound because ultrasound hardware can fit inside a compact probe powered by a rechargeable battery. Instead of a room-sized MRI machine with a massive magnet and a sliding patient bed, a home setup uses a palm-sized probe that plugs into a phone or tablet through a cable or wireless connection. Inside that probe, rows of piezoelectric crystals expand and contract when electrical pulses travel across a small circuit board. Those vibrations send high-frequency sound waves into tissue beneath the skin. The returning echoes strike the crystal array, generate electrical signals that travel back through wires, and feed data into a processor chip that reconstructs a two-dimensional image on the glass display. If you haven't already, please subscribe. In a hospital suite, a trained sonographer stands beside the cart and adjusts depth settings, gain controls and focal zones while watching subtle variations in brightness on a large calibrated monitor. In a bedroom or living room, the user holds the same style of probe, but the screen now shows arrows, highlighted boundaries, and step-by-step prompts overlaid on the image. Some systems display a torso diagram that changes color when the probe angle improves or when contact pressure stabilizes against the skin. Professional groups such as the American Institute of Ultrasound in Medicine publish scanning standards for clinical practice, and engineers convert those written standards into guided visual instructions that appear directly on a consumer tablet screen. The hardest part of moving imaging into the home isn't the plastic shell or even the lithium battery pack. It's the interpretation of what appears on the screen. In a hospital room, a sonographer learns to recognize texture gradients, boundary motion, and fluid patterns through hundreds of supervised scans performed on different patients. But in a home device, image analysis software running on the tablet processor takes on that job. It detects edges, calculates chamber diameters, measures wall thickness, and flags irregular patterns with colored markers that show up as overlays. The US Food and Drug Administration, or FDA, evaluates both the hardware and the analysis algorithms before granting approval. The device has to demonstrate repeatable measurement accuracy under controlled testing conditions with documented results. You can see how this changes everyday life in some pretty concrete scenes. A person with heart failure might sit in a recliner each morning, apply gel from a small bottle, press a probe against their chest, and watch as a shaded region appears on the screen, showing fluid accumulation near the heart. Or a pregnant woman in her bedroom places a handheld scanner on her abdomen and sees a moving fetus on her tablet display, adjusting the probe's position and angle with her free hand. And then there's the athlete recovering from a ligament strain, sitting on the couch, performing a knee scan, and comparing the live image with a saved scan from last week, both displayed side by side on the tablet. At the same time, it's worth remembering, a living room is not a controlled imaging lab with standardized lighting, temperature control, and calibrated monitors on wheeled stands. Ultrasound waves scatter differently depending on how firmly the probe presses against the skin, and even small air bubbles trapped in the geal can interrupt signal transmission and create dark spots on the display. If the probe tilts at the wrong angle, or if the user scans through clothing instead of making direct skin contact, the image can become distorted or filled with speckled artifacts that obscure real tissue boundaries. Without trained interpretation, a person might mistake an artifact for normal tissue or assume a blurred region means everything is fine when it actually indicates poor probe placement. When failures occur, the consequences extend beyond just a single unclear image on a tablet screen. A blurry scan might hide a small pocket of fluid around the heart, something that would stand out on a larger clinical monitor with higher resolution. This could end up delaying necessary treatment, all because someone assumes nothing is wrong. And then, an algorithm might place a measurement line across the wrong anatomical boundary, which generates a normal-looking number next to an abnormal structure that really needs attention. Plus, a battery indicator might suddenly drop during a scan, and the device could shut down right in the middle of a session, forcing a restart and losing a clean comparison with previous images. There are trade-offs that just can't be engineered away through better software or lighter materials. A handheld probe with only a limited number of transducer elements simply can't match the spatial resolution of a hospital machine, with its wide crystal array and dedicated processing racks filling an equipment cabinet. A compact processor, sealed up inside a plastic housing, has to limit heat generation and electrical draw. Otherwise, you risk burning the user's hand. That means engineers have to reduce frame rate or restrict advanced imaging modes that need more computation. Lower-cost devices often rely on simplified beamforming techniques, and that simplification shows up as grainier images or lower contrast between tissue types, especially when you compare it to what you see on hospital displays. After a scan completes, the tablet shows a save icon and stores the image in local memory before uploading it through a home Wi-Fi router to a remote server managed by the device manufacturer or a healthcare provider. That transmission relies on encryption protocols, secure cloud infrastructure, and compatibility with electronic health record systems that clinics use to track patient data. If the internet connection drops during upload, the transfer might fail and require a manual retry, or the image could just sit in local storage until connectivity comes back. Later on, a clinician might review those uploaded images on a laptop, compare multiple scans side by side on the screen, and send guidance or flag any concerns through a secure messaging portal. Some imaging technologies just don't shrink well into home-sized equipment. An MRI machine depends on a massive superconducting magnet, all enclosed within a shielded room with thick concrete walls. And a CT scanner rotates an X-ray source and a detector array around a patient who's lying on a motorized table inside a reinforced gantry. The weight, power requirements, cooling systems, and radiation shielding for those systems make them impractical for a bedroom or apartment unless you do some serious structural modifications. As a result, home imaging will probably stay focused on ultrasound and other low-power optical or acoustic techniques, rather than high-energy rotating scanners that need dedicated power circuits. Even ultrasound, as good as it is, faces limits set by physics that no amount of engineering can get around. Sound waves can't travel cleanly through air-filled lungs or dense bone, which blocks transmission, so certain organs will always be at least partly hidden when you scan from the body surface with a handheld probe. If you're trying to see deeper structures, like organs far from the skin, you have to use lower frequency waves that penetrate further. But those lower frequencies reduce image resolution and the fine detail you can see on the display. That means some medical conditions will still need a hospital visit with full clinical equipment, even if the home scan looks clear on your tablet screen. Thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe.